Hello, 21 days of lockdown, um, unprecedented situation across the globe. Uh, Time for doing some soul searching. And when I was looking inwards, I was thinking about what should I do. And I have always been thinking about starting a blog. Uh, and the best topic I could think of to begin with was to share my experiences on leadership. And since it was 21 days, I thought, why not do it 21 leadership qualities? So, after a lot of cutting and pasting and thinking about what are those top 21 qualities a leadership should have, I've come out with this. I've broken down all of this into three parts. The first part is more people focused, the second one is more characteristics of a leader, and the last one is more around capability which a leader should possess, more around future capabilities. And when I was looking at breaking this into three parts, I was also looking at what are those three or four interventions which have defined me as a leader. And some time back when I was looking at the summit, and when you say the summit, the Everest comes to our mind, and a lot of people have this thing about there are two base camps, but fundamentally there are four camps from the base camp to scale the Everest at about 8,400 meters. And the base camp is at about 5,000 meters. So I want to talk about those interventions at the beginning before I get into the leadership skills. The first intervention came when I was working for a company called Lisbon. I'm not sure many of you have heard, one of the best organizations I've ever worked, run by Pradeep Singh. And in that, there was a session by Gurpreet Singh. Gurpreet, I'm tagging you on this video. It's been a long time since we connected, but I still owe a lot of my career to those 3 days which we spent at Golden Palms. That really shook me up from becoming a BAU professional to truly becoming a manager, or so to say. The journey of becoming a lion has been incredible with Gurpreet. Uh, 3 days sitting on that hot seat, uh, you know, not able to defend yourself, but when people praise you for what you do, I think it was incredible. And it's been a defining moment for a lot of my colleagues as well. The second intervention came in IBM, cornerstone program split across 6 weeks with a break in between for 4 weeks, held in Singapore and Dubai, to prepare the partners. I think it brought in the personal brand out. Uh, and one of the best things, and the entire program is conceptualized around leadership by self deception, a Bible for every leader. So if you have not read it, please do read it. Uh, it was an incredible journey for those 8 days split across 6 weeks. Uh, Got to know a lot of colleagues from across Asia or growth markets. Uh, the third intervention came about in Royal Bank of Scotland, Cohen Brown philosophy, determined to lead. I think it was incredible. The entire leadership program on how to become a coach uh, was incredible. And I think my journey at Real Page is predominantly an encapsulation of all of these three interventions. Now you might be wondering, where did the fourth camp go? I haven't reached there as yet. There is still time for me to scale the Everest, the last leg to go. But the journey to get to the top and being there is equally difficult. So probably a lot more I know what direction to go for, but probably you need to keep watching the space for the fourth camp. Before I start, one more thing I want to cover, which I ask of every individual, every organization, every leader, that success can be defined as a triangle, three sides to it. Uh, First of all, clarity. Clarity in terms of vision, goals, purpose, bigger picture, whatever you want to call that. The Once you have the clarity, you need to have the capability. Uh, Capability in terms of tools, resources, learning, and lastly, you need to be motivated to deliver. And that motivation is self motivation, but at the same time situational motivation as well. You learn or you get motivated if your fellow colleagues are motivated. Over the last year or so in real page, I think that's been amazing as we got certified as a great place to work. And The purpose and the direction was defined right from the beginning, when we set ourselves to become a great place to work and to inculcate a profit center mindset. Now coming uh, to the first part of this conversation, a three-part series. The first one is vision. Every leader should have a vision, a purpose, and people who know me will always appreciate the fact that as a leader, I've always looked at the bigger picture, and that's a key element. But what's more important is also breaking these into manageable goals. I think that's where we actually make a mistake, where we draw a picture but people don't connect to it unless and until we break this down into manageable goals. Uh, the leader or the person who's influenced me the most on this aspect has been my father. Um, 40, 45 years back, when he moved from a small village in Rajasthan to a small town in Karnataka called Gulbarga, uh, coming with almost a rupee or 2 rupees in his hand. Uh, and by the time he went back, he had educated all four of us. My mom, who didn't even study, taught me the first set of alphabets, English alphabets. And my father, I won't say had built a fortune, but at least inculcated the middle class values in all of us. And today I owe a lot of uh, that to my father, because he had that vision, he had that purpose, uh, he had that focus. I've seen him in difficult times. I've seen him in happy times. Spending that 6 months in Punjab during the cotton season, we would see him, and I think that commitment and that level of sacrifice haven't seen or haven't come across. So I think my father is my hero around vision, purpose, and breaking this down into specific goals. So once you've laid out the vision and the purpose, the second thing which comes to your mind is there has to be a method to the madness. There has to be a zeal to execute the strategy which you've written. And most of the leaders fail while writing the strategy. We think about a huge picture, painting the canvas big, but when we start executing to that plan, we somehow fail. And it's very important that when you're writing the strategy and breaking this down into goals, you need to also understand what's the method to the madness. Uh, and my mentor, one of my personal board of directors, and by the way, you should all have a personal board of directors, um, has been Pash. Pash, if you're watching this, thank you. You've been an incredible support so far. My Sutradhar for landing me in Real Page as well. He had an amazing knack of, as a leader, he used to push us beyond limits on our consulting or sales pursuits. But the ability to manage the back end and manage the inflow, the outflow, what do you need, so that you're not bogged down uh, by by your focus on your customer, was just incredible. Uh, and one of the key things or key elements in all of this is to go back to the fundamentals. Look at the value tree. Like if you're talking to a company, you look at the balance sheet in terms of what's going wrong, what's going right, a very consultative mindset. And that's what I encourage. And if anybody who have seen me in meetings as well, I always go back to data points. I always go back to drawing that value tree and looking at the issue under the issue. Because um, we typically are on the surface. We need to just go a little deeper to understand what's going wrong. So I think the second thing was this method to madness and executional excellence. Uh, the third one is know thy people, as I call it. It's very important to understand your people. A lot of you have asked me a question saying that where do you draw a line between personal and professional life? And there's no right or wrong answer to this. It's based on your leadership style. If you are comfortable, you should do it. If you're not, please don't. Uh, but one thing which is important in this is be authentic. And one of the leaders who's inspired me the most in this aspect is my leader in Royal Bank of Scotland, Pankaj. Unbelievable, uncanny ability to remember names of their family members, remember what their family is doing. Uh, Two-time principal, which meant that he used to always come back to them in terms of if they had an issue or a problem. Unbelievable. And I think out of the 1,300 people we have in Real Page, I now remember at least 500 to 600 of them, but still long way to go. But I owe a lot of my ability to get there from Pankaj. Thank you, Pankaj. I'm not sure if you'll watch this, but I've tagged you on this post. The fourth aspect is the horse's flesh. Uh, a, a leader is as good as their team. You might have heard this dime a dozen times. But most of the leaders' pitfall is also that they have this ability to hire people uh, who you can lead. But the leader is all about enabling people to deliver. So you are as good as your team. And I think it is very important to hire the right set of talent. And I've seen this with Ashley and Paul and Barry in Real Page itself, and Rekha, who's our HR head. Uh, we've decided on people with an incredible amount of consistency. Uh, and I think right from the time when I came on board, I traveled to the US before I took up this offer, and Paul made me speak to pretty much all of the leaders in that 5 days time. But I think we've replicated that because we want to ensure that you hire the right set of talent. One of the other things which you might be finding funny is I'm not sure if all of you have seen Roadies and Raghuram. Um, I think in the beginning they had a good knack on it in terms of trying to get the true roadie out, and they had this tough round of um interventions, and I think that's what we need. And I'm going to speak about two sessions which I had recently to hire in the HR team. And I know you guys are watching this, so pardon me for using those examples. Uh, we use some props in our interviews where we've given them the prop saying, take this box and do something from a people perspective. And both of you hit it out of the park, by the way, and everybody is proud of the contributions you guys are making. Harish and Ajaz, I'm talking about you. So thank you. The fifth aspect is As a leader, and I'm going to talk about the leader first, our beloved president, Abdul Kalam, incredible leader. You've heard umpteen number of stories, but I think the way he speaks about successes is of your team and failures are yours is extremely important. So you need to have those wounds on your chest, sometimes at your back as well, uh, because most of the time you're aware, but some of the times you might not be. So, but look at bearing those bullets on your chest. Don't pass it uh, on your teams, because if and I've seen this through experience where I've sulked at times, but I think over a period of time I've hardened myself in terms of ensuring that you take the ability of taking those bullets on your chest. Uh, the sixth aspect is again close to my heart, which is trust and empathy, and both go hand in hand. Uh, Trust comes from belief and vulnerability, and as empathetic as possible. And I owe it to my family, and because today we are a tight unit. Both Rajshri's family, which is a joint family, and my family, who's based out in the north of India. I think we bonded so far because of the incredible amount of trust which we have on each other to back each other up, and we've always understood each other's limitations and beliefs, but the underlying trust is just incredible. And that's a key quality of a leader, because if you don't have the trust within your teams, how much over whatever you do, whatever initiatives you do, you will not be able to make a great place to work. So this year is all about TAP, which is trust, all set, and taking pride. All set is skill set, mindset, and tool set. You'll find more information on this in my subsequent vlogs. And I'm going to talk about more in detail about TAP and how do you become digitally ready. Um, the last one is the art of storytelling or communicator. Um, the the most important aspect for a leader, if you're not able to communicate with your teams, with your people, engaging at the right levels, is you'll find it hard. And not just with your teams, how you interact with your housekeeping staff, how do you interact with your the security guard who greets you uh, uh, the first thing in the morning, the smile you carry, the personal touch you have is extremely important. And the person who's influenced me the most is Aryan, my son, 16-year-old. But since 7, 8, when he started to go to Bangalore's School of Speech and Drama, he's been incredible. I've watched him. I know uh, you'll be a bit shy, embarrassed about me talking about this, Aryan, but you don't know how much I take inspiration from you. And I'd written a small little note for him called "Getting into My Son's Shoes," and he inspires me quite a lot in terms of how to communicate that story, how to think deeper about the story. I've been reading the book on 3 minute rule as well, in terms of how you can make your story more impactful. And now there are multiple storytellers. A good friend of mine, Amin Haq, who runs Storywalas as well. I've tagged your name. Thank you for inspiring all of us. So that was those seven key elements on people leadership. Uh, Thank you for listening. I'll be coming back shortly with the next part on the characteristics of a leader. I hope you like it. Um, I've been very candid in terms of sharing my experiences with you all. If you like it, share it, love it, and do comment. I'm happy to hear any feedback, positive, negative. I'll be happy to ensure I get a lot of comments in terms of what's your experience has been. So do share, uh, and thank you for listening. Stay home, stay safe, take care of your family, take care of yourselves. Shabba khair.